Except, what's up, everybody? Give me 1 second. Let me share my screens, and we're going to rock and roll. There we go. All right, let's do this. We're going to talk about the stock market crash, why it's not over, why it's probably about to get worse. If we don't rally tomorrow, and futures did gap down, so futures are open now. They open up on Sunday. If you're on Robinhood won't open for another hour, as far as their 24-hour trading, but futures did open up a little over an hour ago. And futures did gap down. So we'll talk a little bit about that each time. Yeah, they gap down and we're a little bit red. But to recap, what I've been looking for is the dip buy. And yeah, I've been long a few times, and I went short kind of intraday stuff, just kind of trading the futures. But I haven't really planted my feet. I was just thinking like, hey, we're going to get a relief rally. This would be a good spot for a relief rally. I think somebody said we're at a 200-day moving average. Let me just add that up here real quick. Let's go exponential. Hang on, wrong one. Here we go. Length. Let's go 200. Let's see if we are there. Kind of there. As far as the daily. Okay, so we're at a 200 moving average exponential. Some people that will really matter, and maybe we bounced there. Maybe that's why Friday was a little bit on the green side as far as the S&P goes. But as of now, on Sunday, we did gap down. But coincidentally or not, that's nothing I care about personally. That's just not my style of trading. I don't care what your opinions are on it. But I was thinking, hey, here comes a leg down, 5% down. This actually, S&P went down 7%, but I thought nothing crazy, right? Nothing big. This is actually all par for the course. And I thought we'd see a relief rally, something like we did right here. Like we get the strong red, but then a few green days come, and we kind of just do this knockdown, drag out, kind of channel down thing. But we're still trending down. And whatever the excuse is, if we don't get that relief rally tomorrow, then at this point, what we're setting ourselves up for is not a relief rally, but a rip your face off rally. And there is a difference. One's at about like a 45-degree angle. The other one's at like an 18, if that makes sense. One looks a lot more vertical than the other. So, and that's why I put in the title on YouTube is that the volatility might pick up. And I'm not actually talking about the VIX, but I'm talking about when we do just get that overall, we are too stretched. Shorts start taking profit, which is buy side activity. Buyers jump in. But when a bunch of shorts take profit at the same time and buy to close and gap that thing up and send it, to buy the dip crowd, the momentum can really send it. So that's why I think the rally could have been, how can I word this, a lot easier played. We buy the dip, we kind of just give it wiggle room, and we ride this thing up. Now I kind of think we're going to be talking about the trend down, how we should be shorting the pops, and then one day it's just going to be a monstrous green. And someone's going to ask me, is the crash over? Is it all-time highs? And who knows at this point? It just got a lot worse. If we don't see the rally now, I'm telling you, I think that's what's in the cards. What I worry about on YouTube, if you're not part of my community, right, you can always check that. It's the top link, comment down below. If you're on TikTok, there's the link thing. Is it a link tree? My admin, Casey, she's the one that set it up. It's the TikTok thing. Anyway, you can find it on there. If you're in there, then I talk about everything I do as I'm doing it, right? So I even post all my plays. But on YouTube, what I'm going to end up talking about one day is how I bought the dip and I'm up a whole bunch because I'll likely end up just buying at this zone. It's going to pop up. I'll put my stop in the green. Now, I won't know it's a rip your face off rally or anything like that until it absolutely just sends it and it just doesn't tag me out. So it'll be a coincidence, but it'll likely happen at one of these zones. So watching that, I guess we got to start putting some more down here. All right, let's kick it off like we normally do. Looking at the dollar, kicking off with that, the dollar is selling off. We get the continuation to the south side. Interesting. It's not often, not that there's a correlation factor, but it is weird kind of seeing the dollar and the S&P move together. They're not an inverse of each other, but more likely than not, they do, right? I don't know if you're going along on that. Be the knife catch. if you want to go short, it's kind of like shorting the market right now. And the trend is your friend, but you're kind of asking for it, you know? Look at the US dollar, Japanese yen. Still, it just broke that zone, barely hanging out. I know some of us are long the British pound US dollar, and that's working out. But see, that's also right there in the zone. So the last thing I would want to do is go long. Looking at Bitcoin getting worked right now. Get the break speed off, man. That's lower lows. Sucks to suck. The thing is, this is probably going to be its own video at its own time. TikTok, I see the chat kind of rolling. It just tells me that everyone's joining. I want to pay attention to you guys, but it's hard. But anyway, I hear, I see you. Casey's in the house too. Crypto could probably be its own because someone in TikTok. The reason why I even mentioned TikTok was they said the bull run is over. And I think Bitcoin and crypto, crap coins will probably trade the same. They're just garbage regardless. There's no real buyers in there. There's snipers. There's people on Facebook. That's why I joke, like your wife's boyfriend is the one giving advice on those coins. I mean, if you bought Hawk to a coin, there's just not much I can tell you about anything financially related. We just won't see the same, you know. But there's a lot of validity to Bitcoin now. We got the ETFs, the futures ETFs. We got the U.S. government. Now, what do we have? 200,000 Bitcoins. They're not using taxpayer dollars for it. They're using it from what they recovered, which is awkward because if you recovered stolen, shouldn't you just give it back? You know, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know about that. But now our government has it. You know, Tesla has some. You know, MicroStrategy, if you want to call that a company. You know, they have it. It's just not. The more we creep into the real financial world, and sorry if I'm wording it that weird for you, for the crypto people out there. But I said this a long time ago. It's not going to be your ball game when banks get involved. It's going to be theirs. It's going to look like how they want it to look like. You know, it is not going to be the wild, wild west. So I do think that slows down. And I'm kind of curious as far as the bull run being over. Do we see another, I say this a lot, when Bitcoin drops 85%, that's the I have to buy it now price. If you can get that, because Bitcoin, Ethereum, there's been quite a few times it's crashed 85%, which is why I was so dead set on it dropping into the teens the last time, but all it made it to was the teens. Sorry, I wanted 10,000. We didn't get there. But I'm curious to see if we get another crash like that, because with so many things holding it, what is the new dip buy for Bitcoin? Nvidia going down to 90. Since you don't have a time frame on there, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, not even sarcastically. Before this is over, your favorite stocks that are in your portfolio right now, they're going to get cheaper. What's up, Matt? Chris, how you doing? Steve, Lisa, Lori, Atticus, Grant, what's happening? He says, let's get the show on the road. Let's do it. All right. S&P, we kind of already went over. They did gap down as far as the open goes. And this is pretty typical for a Sunday. A little bit up, a little bit down. The physical color is red only because we opened here and currently are here. If we were green, I'd be the attitude would stay the same, which is why I'm wording it that way. There's just nothing to actually go over. This is pretty typical. I do like going live on Sundays an hour after they open because sometimes you get the massive moves. Now we can gap somewhere. That's cool. But let's everybody get the sleep out of their eyes. Whoever's trading. It's about 6 people in the Tokyo market. But let them do their thing first. Let's see. That's why I like to wait the first hour. So nothing really to report here. We do got a lot of time before market opens. I would expect us, and here's Friday. I mean, Friday we were just zone to zone, yellow box to yellow box. And then here we are. We closed in the top yellow box, gapped to the blue one. I know someone on TikTok said these boxes were meaningless, and it's probably because you just don't know what you're doing. You don't listen or something like that. But, you do you, boo. Just another weird coincidence that's been going on for 13 years. It'll be when that red trend line hits that bright yellow box at 50K. That would be interesting. It would be hard not to buy that at that point, Matt. I know exactly what you're talking about on Bitcoin. Someone's getting emotional. Someone in a chat right now is saying ES is tanking. Did you guys see that little candle turn to like another little candle? On the 1 minute, someone's losing their minds right now. Atticus says, I love these meaningless boxes. Me too. But I do like paying my bills. Contemplating on selling one of my kidneys, buying the upcoming crash. You only get 2 of those things. And I like to keep one. I like to have an extra, I think there's other things we can do. You ever mowed some yards? Just kidding. You know how many times I've contemplated opening a yard business, just mowing yards? Because it's just, I would be by myself. I just do things. I do whatever I want. It just kind of sounds cool. I'm going to leave the house anyway. I might as well just do something. And then it's like the 5 a.m. It's 110 degrees outside. Like that part doesn't sound fun. But I got to say, man, buying the crashes is when you make the most money. I mean, there's movement, there's stock appreciation, there's just trading in general that makes a lot of money. But buying the real dips, I mean, if you think you're just a super investor buying these dips along a bull market, cool. You saved yourself a few pennies, couple bucks per share, and technically that adds up over the years. It does. Nothing to scoff at. But how much work did you do to monitor it, to find it, versus you just put it on an automated system? You really want to catch the dips. You buy the big ones, the corrections, the crashes, and that's how you go to sleep nice. That's how you sleep like a baby. That FTX collapse was a golden opportunity. There's an excuse with all of them. There really is. That one wasn't probably just an excuse, but yeah, I love every one of them. It's not like it's going away. The expected moves for everyone that does have my chart, YouTube member, you're part of my community. The one thing that YouTube members do get, like if your name is green on YouTube, then you do get, just go to the community tab and you'll see my chart link. So you'll have all these meaningless yellow boxes. This one has an absolute ton. We got to, sorry. All right. So we, again, gapped to this weird yellow box that I have bright for a reason. If I do have it bright, that's, again, what I was talking about in one of my last streams, because we went here. Now, these two are brighter for a reason. Just for everyone that is new, I made those brighter long before this happened. And then here we played the back and forth game. So opened up here, closed here, went this high, went this low, almost same thing again, but tagged this one a little bit higher. But then we forgot, hey, crap, that's Don's zone. Jump down there, tag the bright yellow one. So we got them all. But anyway, gap down into it. And I did say, these are the two zones I would watch out for. Breaking this to the upside would be bullish. Breaking this to the downside would be bearish. And now these are, the yellow is 4 hour or daily. So I am looking at this on a 4 hour daily time frame. There's just a 1 candle difference there. So I am keeping an eye on that. So it might just be really red tonight and then tomorrow, because this will end tomorrow after hours, right? If this candle it could be bright green, we're good. I don't worry about the wick. The wick is a sign of rejection, a sign of what's to come. It just depends on what echo chamber you're sitting in and who just agrees with you, aimlessly. But I have to pay attention to that, because if we do break that, there is a zone right inside here. We might just make a quick little pop. We might bounce there, make a higher low, or sorry, lower high, then come back down. But it would be weird to not hit that next yellow zone. If the VIX is at 50 plus, start buying hard, in your opinion? Yeah, probably not a bad time. It's hard, though, to go off of, to say stuff like that. If you've been in the market for a while, then everything is different every time. That's why there's not indicators that can work. People say my charts are an indicator. That's fine, but I manually do that. That's not an indicator. Is just a math problem. It is code. If you see this, do that, and that's it. So it's hard to say buy when the VIX is here, sell when the VIX is here, go hard here. If you see this, do that, because there is still the human emotion driving a lot of this. This whole system was made to shuffle money around and play like in a money version of Hungry Hippos. You put the little BBs out there. Everyone does it. And then when it's like, oh, there's no more BBs, you start the game over. Everyone puts their money back out there, and we do it again. You just keep score along the way, but the game never ends. But because there's that emotion, there's reports driving it. There's people playing on emotions. There's retail. There's smaller institutions. There's bigger institutions that want to play the game, but it's like a troll. Imagine a 16-foot tall troll trying to play basketball. Yeah, big and clumsy, and would just step on everybody. So you have to be very mindful about how he plays things. I mean, those are the bigger banks in this market. Anyway, that's my disclaimer as far as that goes. Scarlet Games. She sent me a rose. Whole rose. If I could sing, I would even sing that song. All I know is it's in the Batman Forever soundtrack with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was such a good movie when it came out. I tried watching it. I think I made it first few minutes. I was like, well, my childhood's ruined. Anybody else have that effect? Looking at the Grandpa Dow, looks like that's just. I would consider one more buy at this zone, but I would even be curious how much that would hold. Seal Kiss from a Rose. Love that song. Well, do you like it because I mentioned the Batman movie and like some men are running in tights with capes, or like do you like the song? This whole spring forward in hour really messing me up. What really messed me up this time is as far as daylight savings, people really like to complain about it ahead of time. So like you just know, like I don't need to actually look it up or know what it is because I just know everyone's going to complain about it. And then today I didn't even know it until like 1 or 2, and I was like, I knew I felt a little bit tired. I can't wait for them to get rid of that. You know how hard it is on your heart, I guess? Really hard. That and shoveling snow. Maybe shoveling snow after that. I don't know if there's a correlation or if I just read those two things at the same time, but yeah, look it up. It was a fun fact. Oh, man, Russell is just. You can tell who didn't have a monster addiction, and it was definitely Russell. I don't know if there's a play here yet for some time. You know, in the economy we're in, as far as small caps goes, as far as the Russell goes, and I've almost contemplated not even breaking down the Russell. And I don't know how many of my followers actually do. I take trades on it here and there. But I mean, if you put the numbers up to how many times I trade the Russell versus the NASDAQ or the S&P, you wouldn't even notice. Actually, let me know in the comments down below, guys. Can I take the Russell off? Because if no one argues that, then I probably will. And I will say there's one thing that I do want to do. I want to pull up the Russell and I want to look over every small cap company that's actually making money, because I do think there's an opportunity as far as the Russell goes. It's not the IWM ETF. It's not the Russell futures. In fact, I want to break down the profitable ones. Now, I haven't done it yet, but in my head, I'm thinking that's going to look like the NASDAQ or the S&P. If you guys don't know that reference, the NASDAQ and the S&P, there's only 6 or 7 stocks. I mean, that's the name, the Magnificent Seven. Just those stocks were responsible for 50% of the growth. They're carrying the weight. I think the Russell just reminds me of a snake just kind of half shedding its skin. There's just a lot of dead stuff out there. They can't afford it. They somehow made it to the market, but you can do okay when the environment's right. You have an incubator. You know everything's being taken care of. It's like little sea turtles. Some of them make it. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that don't make it. You know. And anyway, what I'm thinking is I'm going to find a handful, and I would rather just buy those. I'm a tech person, so my portfolio might as well be it's basically the NASDAQ 10. That's not like a real thing. It's just that I buy tech stuff. The NASDAQ has 100 companies in there, and 90 of them I don't know or care about. And so I kind of want to do that with the Russell, but I need to know, do we get rid of it or not? David Green says crash. LOL. I think not. That sir says puts will print this week. Heck yeah. Well, you take that up with David. You two box it out, and then you come up with a conclusion, and I'm here for it. But do we know what a crash means? First of all, if you're going to tell me about a crash, I have to just ask, like, do you know what crash actually means? Sounds good to break down and highlight the good ones. At the very least, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm thinking personally, if there's going to be a play in there, it's going to be just the particular stocks. But I'd like to let you guys know. At this point, I break this down more for you guys than me, because it'll hit a zone. The likelihood of me playing the Russell is it needs to hit a zone, right? A yellow box of mine, and nothing else needs to be in a zone. Because I will take my yellow boxes over anything else. I don't care what moving averages say. I don't care what the RSI says, the MACD, your wife's boyfriend, literally nothing. But just the likelihood of the Russell doing that without the NASDAQ or the S&P, very rare. And that's the time I'll trade the Russell. Russell trades for me pretty slow. You know, if I'm going to do it, I do a lot better in the S&P and the NASDAQ. So if no one in here has an argument if even one person says I need it, then it'll stay. But if no one says it, then I'm going to take this off the list. But I wanted, where'd that guy go from the talk? David Green. Is David Green still in the house? Will the real David Green please stand up? Get those thumbs working. What kind of crash? My wife's boyfriend says to keep the Russell. Well, he's not here. If your wife's boyfriend wants to come in the chat and say that himself, that counts. You speaking for him does not. All right, so let's talk about crashes really quick. NASDAQ officially in the correction, which if you are subscribed to YouTube and you do get the notifications, or you just happen to watch my videos, then you already know that because we talked about this. NASDAQ went down 11.3%. As far as the S&P goes, I think we're still in the sevens. I don't think we hit 8 yet. So we haven't corrected yet. Still just in the pullback. Yeah, we're at 7.8. So no correction yet on the S&P. Couple more percent for that. And I'm curious to see what will happen when the S&P. Now, like I said in the last video, just checking that box of the correction status. That's a pretty big box as far as the ebb and flow. You know, here's the up, here's the down, the breathe in, the breathe out part. Big box to check off. When the S&P does that, it's going to be a little bit bigger of a box. So I'm curious to see if that's where a relief rally or the rip your face off rally does come in. So I'll keep an eye on there. At this point, it would be weird if we didn't hit it. How about just bring up the Russell when it looks interesting? Because I don't actually look, I won't know, to be honest. It's not one I babysit. I babysit the stuff that I'm in and then my everyday stuff. You know, so I know all about AMD, NVIDIA, Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, Google. I actually haven't checked Amazon in a while. People haven't been bringing up Amazon. Things that get brought up a lot or that I trade, like my bread and butter, you don't have to even, I don't have to pull up a chart to tell you about it because I probably just did a little bit ago. The Russell, yeah, I only check it at night with you guys. It doesn't look like he's here anymore. The guy that brought up the crash, he gone. Why do people give their opinion and then leave? What if I want more of your opinion? What if I need to know the facts? What if I should be watching your show instead? You know, like these are important questions to ask. Because if I found someone that could do it better than me and I could just follow him, this whole channel would be talking about that person and how we should go follow him. I like the easy stuff, guys. If there was ever an indicator that worked, don't take anything wrong. I will use that indicator. What are the zones below on the SPX? Listen, doesn't matter because we're not going to hit them. Just kidding. It's actually going to be right here. Right there. Ooh, that's a tricky one, actually, right here. Dump the Russell's okay. I think a lot of people will think dumping the Russell is going to be okay. We need the indicator. Yeah, I would do it. It's not that I hate indicators. I have nothing against them. If I ever found one that worked, oh man, would my day get easier. Set my alert, whole account it when it goes off. I only trade the Russell when I miss the initial move on the NASDAQ or S&P. Okay. Let's do a couple too. Let's talk about, we got Tesla, a little Tesla action. We don't know what that's on Robin. As far as it goes right now, it looks like that's probably, now that's at a zone. With the futures gapping down, it looks like they will gap down as well. Everything else will likely follow suit. NVIDIA, gosh, NVIDIA looks, a lot of these looked all right. A lot of these landed in a zone, so I'm curious to see if that zone's going to break or where we're at in the morning. More importantly, AMD. I told you guys I'm buying AMD at 95. Now, as far as the growth count, I might just do a limit order. I might even just, I feel like I've been waiting to buy at 95 forever, and it dropped down to 96. And you guys know how annoying that's going to be to miss a dip by $1 off. I'm going to want to just eat the median going down the highway. You know, like that's how that feels like. Let's just get this airbag to pop off. So I'm flirting with doing that. As far as my other account, I am going to sell some 95 puts. And if it drops below, I'm going to take the shares. You know, that I'm just going to get paid to buy. If I don't, then I just get free money. I'm fine with either way. It's gapping to 95 tomorrow. I'm okay with that. If it goes to 95 tomorrow, then you guys already know. If you're watching, you just don't need to wait for the alert. I'm buying at 95. If it gaps at 95 or lower, then I'm market buying. It doesn't really matter. I'm buying it there. Okay, so I wanted to go over that. And the next one, let's do Mara and Palantir. It was weird that, Trump signed that as far as Bitcoin went, right? And then everything dropped. Mara had a screaming day. I want to say shout out to my friend for not paying attention to his calls. He had some 1550 sold calls, and they were fine. Could have bought them back for a couple bucks that morning. Wasn't paying attention till later on. He gets the email. It's been signed. Oh, man, we've all been there. So as a reminder, in case anyone else is in those shoes, don't forget to check on Friday. See what calls, what options contracts you have sold. If there's any last bit management that you need to get done before anything happens, do it. But with Bitcoin selling off, I'm willing to bet Mara's going to be down a little bit. How many shares at 95? Matt says probably like 1,000 for Don. I'll probably do. I'll probably do oh, you're talking the growth count? I might actually just grab enough to get the other contract rolling. Do I still have my Mara leaps? Yeah. Yeah. If you guys ever hear me talk about buying a leap, I'm not buying a leap to manage it the next day. That's a year's worth of time, if not 2 years. That next month doesn't mean anything. There's a reason why I gave it 12 to 24 months, and it's not to worry about it every day. Growth account, yeah, I'm debating on just sending it. Because I just want to get enough to have 2 contracts rolling every week so we can get some more income. So I might just go for it there. Palantir. I also bought Palantir. I haven't done anything with it yet as far as sold calls or anything, because right as I bought it, it sold off. Now, had we had a green day, I was going to sell. I want to sell some like maybe 105 calls, but we had the opposite reaction. I was thinking hopefully we would send it a little bit higher, because this overall, and this is kind of a cool story, right? So maybe Head and Shoulders, whatever you want to call that. That's very much rounding. Kind of looks like it's about to turn up. Not everything happens like you think it will, right? But we didn't really break that zone. We're still above my stop. So I just didn't get an opportunity. I just want to sell calls after a green day, not on red days, and that wasn't green enough to really do anything. So this week, if for some reason tomorrow is green, I will likely sell some. If I could sell some, I doubt I get a zone play out of this. Honestly, if I could sell some 95s, I'll probably do that on Palantir. I bought the Palantir just to, again, I bought around 91. So I'll sell it at 95. I'll sell a 95 call. So if it goes above, I make the money on the call, 100% play there. And then I'll sell the shares at 95. So that's kind of my Palantir update for this one. What's going on tomorrow? Honestly, right now, it looks like red. I don't want to say just red, because if I'm still on the lookout for a rally, and but futures, where are we at? Oh, hang on, that's gonna throw me off. There we go. All right, so here's futures. Futures gap down. We are holding this zone. If we're green, I think the buyers are here and we continue. If we close the day up here, that's going to give us how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of we tried, and someone is buying up right here. So just keep it right here, guys. If we were to just look at this area right here, let's say tomorrow's green and we close right here, 5 days in a row, someone has sold all their shares and the other person said, I will take everything at that price. It's like someone just watching an aisle at a store, waiting for that little clearance marker to come around. He's like, 24? Nope. I'm going to buy it at 22, though. So they marks him down. He gobbles it up. Waits for the other inventory to get dropped down, gobbles it up. At that point, I'll think the buyers are here. But for now, and if you guys are on TikTok, you guys can go check out same channel name on YouTube, and you can rewind it, because I talk about this in the beginning. If the relief rally isn't tomorrow, and I'll give it Tuesday if tomorrow's at least just a little bit green. If it's not here now, I think what we're setting ourselves up for is a rip your face off rally. And it is important that you guys know the difference in there, because this, if we're still red, that is, hopefully you guys can hear the ticking in the background. That is a time bomb for a rip your face off rally. And that is just where things gap up, go up, and absolutely obliterate anybody in puts, anybody in short shares. If you have sold calls, they are not underwater, they are deep sea diving. Okay. It happens fast versus like we had a green day, a couple of green days in a row. Here's another green day. That's a relief rally, which I thought we were going to get. So that being absent, I think just sets up the storm to a rip your face off rally. If tomorrow's not green, I think that's what's on the table. So that's what I'm looking out for tomorrow. Hope a decent green day tomorrow. I wouldn't mind that, to be honest. I'm long stuff, so the gap down, I don't need to tell you guys this. My account's going to be down just with this gap down when everything opens up. I won't take any futures trades till the morning, but hoping it's green because playing the channel down, super easy. That is an absolute cakewalk. That is a breeze. I mean, that is going to sleep just fine. Talk about sleeping like a baby. We grind this thing down. Lower lows, lower highs. Let the people panic on the way down. There's always some excuse making them freak out. But the rip your face off rally has you on pins and needles. I mean, you're just standing on eggshells, just waiting for something to happen. And then it happens quick. Jump on board. It's like that scene from Blade. If you're going to jump on a bullish trade on a rip your face off rally, so I call it the RIFOR. Started that in the chat. I just want to see how long, if I said that, how long until some other YouTubers started saying it. But there's a scene from Blade. He's got the lady in his arms, and there's a train coming by. And he jumps and he grabs that rail, and they just rip off and just goes to the train. If you try, it's going to rip your arm off. It should be a rip your arm off rally. But that's what it's going to be like jumping on a bullish trade during that rip your face off rally. It certainly comes with its own risk. Buy the dip, but my bank account is flies and dust. We gotta change that. Is there a way to manage the dip? Right? Maybe we don't buy the dip, but can we manage something? Can we? Actually, you probably can't sell puts. We don't want to sell too many calls. Is there a way to move things around? Play some musical chairs. I got a couple of G's for my car fund, and I'm down 7%. And I'm like, bro, I mean, there's ways to actually put that couple grand to work while still having access to your couple grand. So if you still need to buy car parts but be in the market at the same time, I would just encourage you to keep looking. I even have a video about it myself. Referencing, if I were to if all I had was $2,000 to my name, how could I not have that in a savings account, but still have an emergency fund of $2,000? And it's 100% doable. It's what I would do because putting your money in a savings account is just robbing you. XRP breaking down. Oh, this is a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Tomorrow is that new code system that banks have to go by. XRP is already set to work with it. I'm butchering it if you're a crypto nerd. I get it, but most people, that's the gist of it, right? And a lot of it is a buy the rumor, sell the news. A lot of people are expecting them to come out and say, this is the new code, and we're going to use XRP. Cardano's in there as well. It's not going to be the case. It's kind of like when they thought Trump was going to buy Bitcoin as a reserve. Everyone thought that's amazing, that's cool. And then he came out, and I think everyone expected, we're going to take all your tax dollars, we're going to buy 1 million Bitcoin and hold it for you guys. At that point, that would be very bullish. So I'm curious to see how many buyers, because even I've talked to bankers, they are pretty excited about this. Now, bankers are not traders. You guys do need to remember that. Neither are lawyers or doctors. I don't know why. I have a lot of doctors in my group. There's just a certain few that think, please don't take offense to this. I haven't seen any of mine personally, none in my group, but I've just seen this I'm a doctor, I should know mentality. Like it's what bothers me about rockets. And when people say it's not rocket science, well, we know because no one here is studying rockets and has nothing to do with baking a cake. Anyway, neither here nor there. I'm curious to see how many people are looking to sell into that excitement, or they didn't get the announcement that they thought they would, and then it comes back down. Banks, airlines keep selling off every day. Good. Hey, who buys airlines? Why are people talking about airlines? Does Rip Your Face Off rally usually drop the next day by a lot? No. No. Ugh. There is about every scenario in there. It could gap down or sell off. It could look like this. In fact, that's kind of what it does look like. As a matter of fact, there's a Rip Your Face Off rally, but imagine that in the S&P. Stocks go nuts. If the S&P is doing this, Tesla's having a good day. It could gap down, but there's some that just look like this. They turn on a dime and absolutely send it, and you just won't know until the next morning what kind of train we're on. Are we on some little city, block to block transit train, or are we on some bullet train going from, cross country? Don't you know doctors know everything? I was thinking of you, and I was thinking of Patrick. I was like, I have a lot of doctors in my group. One even quit his practice. But yeah, but it's always doctors and lawyers that I've seen over time just kind of have that attitude. Like, I get it. Studying 10 years is rough, but you didn't study the markets for 10 years. You didn't study anything else for 10 years. You studied that. I want you to diagnose me when I'm sick. Don't tell me what to do with my money. I'd assume more Rip Your Face Off rally because how many people are short. The longer this short lasts, the more it will rope people in. Yeah, and that's what gets it. I have most of my money in Tesla and Nvidia, but I'm 16, so that's why I'm aggressive. You call that aggressive, huh? Interesting. Kidding. Also, shout out to you being 16 and in here. You guys wouldn't see me, honestly, if I started this when I was 16. I would be on my own island. I wouldn't have the need to talk to anybody. That's it. 100%. The younger crowd is amazing. The fact that you guys are even interested in this or doing it. Oh, and you guys have phones. You can just do this. It was $20 a trade when I started. Like, that was the commissions. Hang on, let's talk about NVIDIA real quick. Yeah, NVIDIA 90. So I wanted to bring up. Man, NVIDIA and Tesla, technically, if all your money is in there, you're exposed to a lot of tech and volatility because you're in some thrones. Those two stocks are sitting on some thrones, the EV market and chips or data in general. The problem with something that sits on a throne is somebody is constantly trying to take that place. Now Netflix used to sit on the throne. Best case scenario was it went from a throne, king of the castle, to like a Justice League, circle table where everyone's there. You got Netflix, Disney was coming for you, but they all kind of just sat around, and they're all a bunch of streaming services that are probably all about to fail because they continuously raise prices, and eventually it'll just be cheaper to have cable. But another conversation for another day. That scenario is a dream scenario for a company that's sitting on a throne. Oftentimes, someone is trying to come up with something that you do better, more efficient. So it comes with the territory as far as volatility goes. But those two particular tickers, I don't think I would take a loss on. You hang on to them until they're green. Tesla could test 150 again. Tesla could be at 300 or 150 inside of an hour. That's the name of the game when it comes to Tesla. As far as NVIDIA getting $90. Someone said this earlier today. Let's look at the run NVIDIA's been on. Okay. NVIDIA hitting $90, drop in the bucket for some. Now, if you're new to this, maybe you bought up here, that's a huge panic for you. I bought at 130. It's at 90. What do I do? No, I haven't been selling calls against it, whether you didn't have enough shares, you didn't know what you were doing. So you haven't made any income on it. You're just watching your money go down. That's a panic decision. For anyone that's been in on for the ride, that's nothing. But yeah, NVIDIA pulling back down to there with a market like that. I think we're in that. I do think we are going to crash this year. Again, I thought the crash would start in March. I don't think this is the crash right now. Maybe we're proving that wrong. That being said, if the S&P hits 20% down, NASDAQ hitting 20% down, NVIDIA is likely already down to 90. NVIDIA below 100 is where I'm buying more than you guys make a year. Daily. I wanted to sound aggressive, like obviously aggressive and not bragging, but I would be buying a lot of NVIDIA at that price. I sold a good chunk when it was up here just because it had been on a run. So I thought NVIDIA was gonna chill out, and I actually bought quite a bit of AMD. for the exact opposite reason, because it had already sold off. So I think more share appreciation on that one. But yeah, getting down to 95 or 90, sub 100, right? If it's a 2-digit number, if the market's open, just know that I probably bought some that day. After that split, Nvidia report earnings to me hasn't been that great. Splits make things harder to move. There's just more pieces of the pie. So B says, not BE, not BEE, just let it be. SPX and NASDAQ are inverse head and shoulders pattern started from the dump on Friday, working on the right shoulder. Hopefully. That wouldn't be bad. We need a relief rally right now. Relief rally will be the easiest week you guys have had. If it ends up being red tomorrow, it is a rip your face off. Now, as far as the head and shoulders, I do have, we've made a joke a lot about that. Actually, let's pull that up. Did I finish NVIDIA? Did we ADD it up? Anyway, yes, could hit 90. Very realistic. Regardless of what somebody ran a Monte Carlo on and says the share should be worth $3 million a share and whatever on YouTube. Okay, ahead and let's go. Was that a 4-hour time frame? Can we see? Starting from the dump on Friday. He's probably talking about this little thing right here. Okay. Okay, so there we go. There's the shoulder. He's like a cone head, you know, not necessarily like Mega Mind, just a anorexic cone head, or a very, very wide head and shoulders. Stout. Maybe he sleeps on his left side, and this is a lot skinnier. You know, he's probably cramping up. What I do like about head and shoulders is they will likely, if they're real, going to pan out inside these zones. But inside the group, this has happened so many times. Is you make the shoulder, the head, and what does the next one do? Because I know my group's probably already typing it. It's waving goodbye. You think this is a shoulder? What it's actually, I don't want to raise my arm up because I know what happened to Elon. It's waving. Its arm's actually out here, and then it goes back down. I'd be on the lookout for that. Is all. But I'm hoping 100% you are right, because I think that makes things a lot easier. Luger says, I will buy at 90. I do think if NVIDIA gets sub 100, 90 is awesome, but it's kind of one of those, if you wait for 90, you might just miss the trade. What if it goes to 93 and gets bought up pretty quick? Then you miss the whole dip buy. You can see it on 15 minutes. I see it right here. I mean, I agree. I'm hoping it pans out. I'm not making fun or anything like that. I just want to point out how many times we've talked about head and shoulders. And then, so if you hear me say it just waved goodbye, it's because it just never made that shoulder. He's got to switch sides. It's important. SPY to 590 on a rip your face off rally. Absolutely. It would happen before lunch. That's the kind of volatility I'm talking about. If SPY were to, if there is a rip your face off rally, yeah. But here's the expected move, right? 560 to 590 is this week's. That's where market makers aren't doing a single thing as long as we stay in this range. So no, they're not out to get you. But when we get outside this range, now market makers stepped up to the plate. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I do have to hop off. Oh, hang on. Let's do one more, Jay, because we have not talked about China in a while. Ooh, interesting. What's your opinion on China and BABA more expensively? I have almost 19 puts. Now, you could have 19 really awesome puts. Like, what if I had 19 140 puts? What if I had 19 100 strike puts? What's my expiration? 10 years out? Doesn't happen, but, 1, 2 years, 1 month. Wow. I would question, did you buy the puts because of how green it was? Is that a roulette trade? And I say that if you guys are new here, you walk up to the roulette table, you see red, 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 red. So you put your money on black. That's a gambler's fallacy that those trades just don't pan out. I don't care if you made money on it. Hopefully you do. But if that's your strategy, you probably won't be here next year to tell me how good it was. As far as having the puts right here, if we break this zone, I don't think so. 146.35 is where my stop would be at. But here's what we did. We jumped up. We hit that zone. We found the sellers, right? That meaning little box. Hey, someone was there. What a coincidence, right? Sold off. Now the buyers are still here, so they pick it right back up. Here's those sellers again. Sells back off. Buyers pick it right back up. We found the sellers again, but we didn't go anywhere. The buyers already picked it up. You still have some sellers at this type 2 area up here. And if the buyers are already here, this gap's up in the morning. You're running out of sellers. You're running out of time. You've heard me say this a lot if you've been here for a while. It's a zone until not. It is a yellow box, man, until that thing breaks, but it will eventually break. So you have September 19th. Okay, so that's still a salvageable situation. With that much time on there, if it breaks, you're going to be down but not wiped out. That particular one, I would probably want to manage. Now, since I bought puts, I'll tell you what, you're in the 140 puts. I like that, straight at the money. I would sell puts. Now, I could either sell the 140 puts that I'm in, lock that in, L or not, call it a day, and maybe I get back in. I could actually sell the 138s. If they're doing the 250 mark, you're going to sell the 137.50s. Now, I'm theta and vega neutral. So as it chops around and goes sideways, yes, one's going down, the other one's going up. They're canceling each other out. You kind of sit that volatility out. You let a few days go. Since you are theta neutral, it doesn't matter. But you can actually buy the 137.50s back as a green trade. And then it sells back off. You ride the puts back down. What you'll be in at that point is a $2.50 wide spread. So anytime I'm in this situation, think money out, money back in. I paid $1,000. I bought this put. Now, what a cool thing is I paid $1,000. I bought the 140 put, and then it sells off. And then I sell we'll call it the 137.50 for $1,000. Now what am I in? I spent $1,000. I collected $1,000. I'm in a $2.50 wide spread, 100% free. You know, so at that point, I have a free trade. It doesn't really matter what happens. If it just goes to the moon, I did nothing. If it sells off to 137.50 or lower, I get $250 per spread because it's $2.50 wide. So I do that a lot. And if you guys want to know I just had this conversation actually. So there was wild. As far as my PRs go, the most money I've ever made in a day, it was 60,000 on a Monday. And it doesn't stop there. I thought, man, that's crazy. I'm not going to make that again. Next Monday, 70,000. I beat it. I was like, holy cow. Next Monday after that, 97,000. 3 Mondays in a row. It was wild. The second Monday where I had made the 70,000, 76, something like that. I'm rounding down those, except for the last one because it was not 100,000, and I was mad. I just wanted to crack that 6-digit in one day number. What I had done was exactly what I just said. So I had bought calls on Amazon. Amazon was $3,000 a share at that time. So I'm buying a call. It pops up, and I sold a $10 wide spread, and it would sell back off. And I'd buy another one. And I'm just in all these free plays. I had 16 of them. So 16 spreads that were all free. Well, I had been paid to be in them because I bought it for $16,000. It popped up, and I'd sold the $10,000 one for $17,000. So I'm making money on that. And then as it sold off, I bought another contract. So I'm in all these free plays and then a naked contract, and things shot up. So it had earnings blasted it up. Whatever news it was happened over the weekend, and it absolutely sent it on a Monday. All my spreads were up. My naked contract was up. I had almost zero risk in this trade just by doing it. So I do love doing that. It's just something you can do. But if you're going to do that, just think money out versus money back in collected if you're going to play that spread game. Ray says market crash defensive trades. I do have to get to my mentorship group because I do go live on Zoom for them. Think Pepsi, PG. As the market was selling off, these were pushing up. These are your dividends. Defensive, you could be thinking of Lockheed Martin and stuff like that. But a lot of these were really, it wasn't XO. Did XOM go for it? There was another one that we were really looking at. It was the dividend ones. We're just going for it. Coca-Cola. So when I see this, I think people are parking their money in the safer one, and I do expect more to come down. Anyway, guys, sorry, I ran it later than I thought I would on this one. But shout out to everybody that's here. Do all the cool stuff. If you're on TikTok, I'm doing a video every day on YouTube. I'm trying to pull shorts out of that and put it on to TikTok for you guys so it doesn't look like it's just empty. But if you guys do want it, I know it's hard for you guys to click on a different app That sounded extremely sarcastic. 100% real. All of this is on YouTube from the beginning. I wish TikTok would ever just do that. Mentorship, don't go anywhere. We're going live. Everyone, if you want to check it out, it's always the comment down below. If you don't do that, by the way, I'm going to start like me, Kevin. Every 30 seconds, I'm going to remind you guys I have a group. Just kidding. I'm not that annoying. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.